Bengals on the road at the Jets. Here's a game for you. 10.5-point favorites are the Bengals on the road at the Jets, a total of 42.5 or 43. Steven, we know how this is going to play out. I mean, listen, the Jets, being the Jets, had a horrible roster construction to where they have another rookie behind their rookie quarterback. I mean, it's just didn't even have a veteran presence behind him to mentor him. Zach Wilson was dead on arrival essentially there for the Jets, and he goes down with injury. They're going with, what is it? Mike White who's going to be playing quarterback for the Jets this week. It jumped. This line was sitting kind of in that 8.5, 9 range. It instantly jumps up to 10.5 in favor of the Bengals. I think it's a proper move. This is a type of game that a team like the Bengals typically just beats up on their opponent when you just have a far superior offense to a really bad defense. And then now you're going to get a backup quarterback. That said, I don't think I'm going to lay the 10.5. It might be a contest play for me on the Bengals. I think if you are in survivor pools out there, I think that this is a pretty solid survivor play as well, though there is future value in the Bengals if you wanted to hold on to them. But maybe even getting creative in some weird teaser legs or something, certainly not the typical teaser legs, but I'll have something on the Bengals this week. I just can't decide what.
Yeah. Overall, by the way, it's just a weird week for teasers. I hit every teaser last week and I just didn't see any this week. And I saw a lot of spreads that I liked. It's just, that's how it is. You have to adapt with what the market is giving you each and every week. And this was a look ahead line that had the Bengals as 4-point favorites. They lose Zach Wilson. Now they're 10.5-point favorites. Now we could make the argument that that's an overreaction considering how bad Zach Wilson is, but now you have to try and handicap, well, what exactly is this offense with a complete unknown and bottom of the barrel NFL quarterback who just took his first snaps in the NFL last week. And I think that's an impossibly hard thing to handicap. So you can try and make the argument and say that the line move was too much and too many points, but I can't get to the point where I want to plug my nose and bet the New York Jets to cover 10.5 because the Bengals have looked like a very solid all-around football team that can beat bad teams by a decent amount of points here. So just too hard for me to handicap with how bad the Jets are. And I just prefer not to plug my nose with a complete unknown at quarterback and likely a bad quarterback.
Brad, one of the things we've seen so far this year, I mean, it played out again last week, these bad teams, the haves and the gap between the haves and the have-nots, even from a point spread standpoint, is massive. We've yet to have a 7.5-point favorite or greater win outright so far in this NFL season. So we've gotten through 7 weeks and any team that's been a big dog has not won outright a single time. So we haven't had one of these big type upsets. Now you've got Mike White stepping in as quarterback. Joe Flacco looks like he's going to be inactive. So I don't even know who the hell their backup to Mike White is even going to be for the Jets.
They might need him, whoever it is.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. And there's just such a massive talent gap between the offense that Cincinnati's going to put out there and the defense that the Jets are going to put out there. And I know people see these big double-digit numbers and just think like, that's not for me. I don't play those. But, the Cardinals covered last week as 18.5-point favorites. Like the haves and the have-nots is pretty big in the NFL this season. So I think it's a Cincinnati or pass for me. That being said, like I said, it's not in the account as we record this right now.
No, and it was interesting that Cardinals game, they were bet up from 16.5 to like 20.5 at kick. And obviously they covered every number, but I don't think that's just public money moving an NFL spread 3.5 points or whatever, even if they're not valuable points. I think that's professional money. So, it shows you that, as you said, is the haves and the have-nots, and just blindly backing these big dogs is not profitable. I mean, I'm not involved in this game. I would say this is kind of your classic letdown spot, isn't it? Right? They've just beaten the big brother in the AFC North as 6-point underdogs, and now they turn around and be road favourites over the lowly Jets. You could conceivably have a flat spot for the Bengals, but also conceivably they could have 3 players open within 2 seconds on every single snap of the ball, because who is covering any of those three receivers? So I don't know. I didn't know what to do with that. I stayed away.
Yeah, and unless the Jets fundamentally try to do something differently on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, they're one of the top 12 teams in the league in blitz rate. And if I'm kind of giving it away here, guys, but do you know who the number 1 quarterback in the NFL is against the blitz so far through the first 7 weeks?
Let me guess.
It's Joe Burrow. Yes, it is. It's Joe Burrow. So unless they do something fundamentally different on the defensive side of the ball, then they're going to play right into what the Bengals have been doing very well so far. And look, I'm a believer. If you've been listening to the podcast for the last 3 weeks, you understand I've been on the Cincinnati train. I believe in this defense. I believe in this offense. And this is the type of game typically where a team like Cincinnati goes out and just curb stomps the opponent here. And so, like I said, I'll figure out some creative ways to get involved. Once the player prop market hits, there probably will be something along there as well that might kind of tickle my fancy from a Cincinnati standpoint, because I'm not positive, unless you put just an absurd number on yardage for Jamar Chase, that there isn't a number that I might look at seriously in this game for an over on him. I mean, unless they pop like a 90.5 or something on him or whatever. But I mean, if they put something out in the 60s or 70s again, I don't know if there's a number that I wouldn't play the over with. And I think this is a defense that not only does he have a bunch of success against from just a volume standpoint, but also, I mean, it could take one play for him to get to one of these numbers on the player prop side of things. So certainly something I'll be looking at there as well.
Matt, this is also the last week I think you're going to be able to get Jamar Chase at plus money to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I understand the value has been sucked out of that market, but I still think if you are telling me that he's got a 50% implied probability at this point to win the award, I'm still taking Chase over the field with how poor the rookie quarterback play has been. He is putting up better numbers than Odell Beckham did, who is the only receiver to win this award since 2010. The conditions are ripe for him to win this. And I think any bet against Chase at this point to win Rookie of the Year is just betting on him to get injured. And the only other guy I could possibly come up with a narrative to maybe steal this from him, unless he gets injured, would be Kyle Pitts, who could break a bunch of rookie tight end records, but he's not on a winning team, and that factors into this as well. So Jamar Chase at plus money this week, I still think is a good bet, even though the number was much better a few weeks ago. Now that we have all of this data and all of this information, he's crushing. He's doing unprecedented things. He's second in the entire NFL in receiving yards. It's going to be really hard for him to not win it at this point. Yeah,
people point to the Justin Jefferson season last year, and they scream, "Oh, well, he didn't win it." And he had an unbelievable rookie season for a wide receiver, and all that is true. But there was also this guy named Justin Herbert who doesn't exist this year in that market. They want to give it to a quarterback. That's what we're saying. They want to give it to a quarterback. There's just not a quarterback. There's just not a quarterback that stepped up and been able to take the reins with all of that. And so, yes, it's a different scenario this year than it was last year with what was going on. And also, I might add, with all those yards that Justin Jefferson put up last year, he wasn't scoring touchdowns, and Jamar Chase is scoring touchdowns at a ridiculous rate right now. Now, there will be some regression set in for that, but he will smash the number of touchdowns that Justin Jefferson scored last year as well. So that can also factor into all this. And you guys didn't laugh at me. I think you only smirked when I said, if you want to get in on the Joe Burrow MVP train, you better get in on it now. It was sitting at 100-1, 35-1 as we record this right now. So dropped from 100-1 to 35-1 in that market. So I got me a little ticket tucked away. We'll see what happens with that one as we get going. At the very least, I got way the good of the number.